the terminal portion of a leafy twig of a tree or shrub is enclosed in a glass jar during daytime, a film of moisture will appear on the inside of the jar. The plant is surely losing water through its leaves in the gaseous form. The lost water is not visible till it has condensed in the form of tiny drops. This loss of water vapor by living plants is called transpiration. Transpiration is the process by which moisture is carried through plants from roots to small pores on the underside of leaves, where it changes to vapor and is released to the atmosphere. Transpiration is essentially evaporation of water from plant leaves. Potometer is used to measure rate of transpiration in plants. Transpiration also includes a process called guttation, which is the loss of water in liquid form from the uninjured leaf or stem of the plant. Water is necessary for plants, but only a small amount of water taken up by the roots is used for growth and metabolism. The remaining 97 to 99% water is lost by transpiration and guttation. Types of transpiration. Transpiration may take place in any part of the plant exposed to the air. This applies even to roots in contact with the soil atmosphere. However, the leaves are the chief organs of transpiration. In leaves, it occurs through the small opening called stomata, and such transpiration is called as stomatal transpiration. If transpiration takes place from the epidermal cells of the herbaceous stems, flower parts and fruits through the cuticle, it is called cuticular transpiration. Some of the transpiration from woody stems and fruits may occur through the lenticels, and this is called lenticular transpiration. Transpiration is lowest when the stomata are fully closed and most rapid when stomata are fully open. It has been estimated that stomatal transpiration is usually higher than the cuticular transpiration by around 4 times on a sunny day. Under very dry conditions, when stomata are fully closed, cuticular and lenticular transpiration become important. Transpiration process. Similar to the sweat glands on our skin, plants have openings on their leaves that allow water to escape, and these openings are called stomata, and the singular is called stoma. The stoma is defined as a pore found on stems, leaves and other plant parts that control gas exchange. Essentially, this is a structure that allows carbon dioxide to enter and along with water carry out photosynthesis in the presence of light to produce glucose. Oxygen is released through the stomata as a waste product resulting from photosynthesis, and some water vapor also leaves through transpiration. Plants have a specialized structure that opens and closes stomata, and this is called guard cells. These cells pump ions such as calcium and potassium in and out of the cell, causing the cell to contract, resulting in the stomata opening or closing. Stomata are usually found on the underside of a leaf to reduce excess water loss. Stomata work as a result of environmental triggers that alter the turgor pressure of the guard cells. The turgor pressure increases as a result of ions flowing in the guard cells, causing water to also flow in, and then the stomata opens. On the contrary, when ions and water flow out of the guard cells, turgor pressure decreases and the stomata closes. Water potential of guard cells is high in the night. Factors that affect turgor pressure include levels of light, water vapor and carbon dioxide. On hot days, when water is limited and transpiration is high, stomata generally stay closed. Early in the morning, many plants have open stomata since the temperature is cooler and the air is full of water vapor. Some desert plants like succulents open their stomata at night and can store carbon dioxide until the following day. Transpiration rates vary widely depending on weather conditions such as temperature, humidity, sunlight availability and intensity, precipitation, soil type and saturation, wind, land slope and water use and diversion by people. Atmospheric factors affecting transpiration. The amount of water that plants transpire varies greatly geographically and over time. There are a number of factors that determine transpiration rates. Temperature. Transpiration rates go up as the temperature goes up, especially during the growing season when the air is warmer due to strong sunlight and warmer air masses. Higher temperatures cause the plant cells which control the openings where water is released to the atmosphere to open, whereas colder temperatures cause the openings to close. Temperature as an environmental factor affecting transpiration also relates to water potential and relative humidity. The relationship of temperature, that is T in degree kelvins, relative humidity RH in percentage and water potential psi W in Pascal is shown in the following mathematical equation provided by Hopkins in 1995. Applying this equation, an increase in temperature will decrease water potential. Thus, at the same relative humidity of 50%, psi W at temperature of 20 degree centigrade or 293.15 degree kelvins is minus 93.5 megapascal, but lower, that is more negative psi W equal to minus 96.7 megapascals is seen at higher temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. Increase in atmospheric temperature will therefore steepen further the plant air water potential gradient. Relative humidity. As the relative humidity of the air surrounding the plant rises, the transpiration rate falls. It is easier for water to evaporate into drier air than into more saturated air. Wind and air movement. Increased movement of the air around the plant will result in a higher transpiration rate. This is somewhat related to the relative humidity of the air in that as water transpires from a leaf, the water saturates the air surrounding the leaf. If there is no wind, the air around the leaf may not move very much, raising the humidity of the air around the leaf. Wind will move the air around with the result that the more saturated air close to the leaf is replaced by drier air. Soil moisture availability. When moisture is lacking, plants can begin to senesce, that is premature aging, which can result in leaf loss and transpire less water. Light. Light speeds up transpiration by warming the leaf and opening stomata. The warming of the leaf leads to transpiration because water is needed to cool the leaf so that it does not dry out. In addition, light triggers the activity of ATP powered proton pumps in the plasma membrane of guard cells. This triggers the active transport of potassium into the cell. The higher solute concentration within the guard cells causes inward water movement due to osmosis. When potassium ions passively leaves the cell, water also leaves. Also, one of the environmental factors affecting transpiration is air, particularly atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. In a recent update, researchers found that high concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, approximately 400 ppm, enhances photosynthesis by limiting the extent or duration of stomatal opening. As a result, trees had reduced rate of transpiration, more efficient use of water and faster growth. Commercial growers have in fact practiced carbon dioxide fertilization by supplying this gas into the air in greenhouses to induce more rapid growth. Plant factors influencing transpiration. Type of plant. Plants transpire water at different rates. Some plants which grow in arid regions such as cacti and succulents conserve precious water by transpiring less water than other plants. Transpiration also depends on the number of leaves. More leaves means a bigger surface area and more stomata for gaseous exchange. This will result in greater water loss. Number of stomata. More stomata will provide more pores for transpiration. Size of the leaf. A leaf with a bigger surface area will transpire faster than a leaf with a smaller surface area. Leaf structure. Several structural features lessen the rate of transpiration. These include thick cuticles, thick cell walls, sunken stomata and hairs or pubescence. In general, xerophytic plants which are adapted to dry, hot climates have thick cuticles than those which are adapted to cool, moist climates. Leaves that develop in open sun also have thicker cuticles than those which develop under shade. The cuticle, being made up of wax, has a limiting effect on the transpiration rate by hampering the diffusion of water vapor to the outside atmosphere. Sunken stomata, as in case of Adelpha or Nerium oleander, also lessen the rate of transpiration by sheltering the boundary layer from wind movements. Likewise, the presence of dry epidermal hairs or pubescence on the leaf surfaces tend to lessen the rate of transpiration by acting as wind breaks. As such, wind movement on the leaf surface will be reduced so that the boundary layer is retained. Presence of plant cuticle. A waxy cuticle is relatively impermeable to water and water vapor and reduces evaporation from the plant surface except via the stomata. A reflective cuticle will reduce solar heating and temperature rise of the leaf, helping to reduce the rate of evaporation. Tiny hair-like structures called trichomes on the surface of leaves also can inhibit water loss by creating a high humidity environment at the surface of the leaves. These are some examples of the adaptations of plants for conservation of water that may be found on many xerophytes. Root-shoot ratio. All other plant factors and the outside environment being equally favorable, the rate of transpiration tends to increase with higher root-shoot ratio. For example, it is expected that a plant with a root-shoot value of 1, that is root area divided by leaf area is equal to 1, will tend to transpire faster than another plant with a root to shoot ratio of 0.5. This is because a plant with more root surface area will absorb more water provided that soil water is available. More water within the plant will mean a steeper plant to atmosphere vapor pressure gradient and more water to transpire within a time duration. Stomatal movement. The stomata is the plant pore through which water primarily escapes in the process of transpiration. But in plants that exhibit Crassulacean acid metabolism, that is CAM photosynthesis, Like pineapple and many desert plants, the stomata close during daytime and open at night. This diurnal movement regulates photosynthesis while at the same time conserves water. Otherwise, if the stomata remain open throughout the day, as in most of the plants, the magnitude of water loss at daytime will be much higher. Benefits of transpiration to plants. Transpiration is not simply a hazard of plant life. It is the engine that pulls water up from the roots to the leaves. As any other process, there are pros and cons of transpiration too. The advantages of this process are: the plant becomes cool all the time, large amount of water gets into the plant, distribution of water is throughout the plant, some substances are transported to upper regions of the plant, harmful effects of evaporation to plant leaves is minimized. Due to the amount of water absorbed, the osmotic pressure of the cells is maintained. Factors that speed up transpiration will also increase the rate of water uptake from the soil. When water is scarce or the roots are damaged, it increases a plant's chance of survival if the transpiration rates can be slowed down. How plants reduce the rate of transpiration? The water enters to the plant from the soil through roots and they leave the plant through leaves by transpiration. However, the land plants usually do not get enough water supply. A good example is xerophytes. Nature gave some adaptations to such plants. Some of these adaptations are: sunken stomata. Plants which show this adaptation have their stomata hidden or located at low level than the epidermis cells. Due to the fact that they are sunk, they do not have any direct contact with atmospheric air, so the effect of the environmental factors is little and the transpiration is reduced as a result. Thick cuticle formation. Some plants have thick cuticle formed in their leaves. These leaves have a shiny and waxy leaf blade that cover the effect of transpiration factors. Hence, the rate is very low. Having fleshy stems, dropping of leaves and leaves turning to thorns. Some plants such as cactus, euphorbia, etc. don't have any leaves. There are plant leaves that falls away when they are young. Some thorns are the conversions of leaves and auxiliary buds. All these plants have low transpiration rate due to no leaves. You can see plants with fleshy stem and they have a milky white thick liquid that keeps water behind it. Bristles on leaf surface. Plants which show this adaptation have hair-like bristles on the leaf surface. These bristles are formed by the epidermal cells. Wet air strata can be seen in between the bristles. That's what helps plant with this adaptation to reduce the transpiration rate. Rolling of leaves. In dry climate, plants like grass roll in and cover the stomata. There are many stomata in the upper surface and this rolling technique can reduce the rate of transpiration nicely. Deciduousness of the plants. Deciduousness means the dropping of leaves in certain seasons of the year. Plants which use this adaptation usually drop their leaves in dry season. No leaves leads to very less transpiration. Guttation. Guttation is similar to transpiration, but there are differences too. Small holes can be seen in the tip of the tiny veins known as hydatodes or water stomata. The water entering from the roots go to higher areas by some help with the root pressure. That pressure causes the water to go out through those hydrothores. This process is known as guttation. It is the reason why we see water droplets at the tip of leaf blades. Scientists have found the only function of hydrothores is the guttation. Root pressure cannot push water in large height trees, therefore, guttation occurs only in small plants. Thus, in this module, we have discussed about transpiration, its types, factors affecting this process, and adaptation of plants to overcome high rates of transpiration.